Welcome back to this Hannity special, Justice in America. The collusion-obsessed House Judiciary Committee voted this week to hold AG Bill Barr in contempt for declining to hand over the completely unredacted Mueller report, despite the fact that top Dems now have access to all but 2 full and 7 partial lines of the Mueller report. But they're redacted in accordance with federal law. Not a single Democrat, not one, has bothered to read it. And talk about hypocrisy. Let's not forget how Democrats reacted when Obama Attorney General Eric Holder was held in contempt over his handling of the Fast and Furious scandal. Watch this.
To bring this contempt of Congress against the Attorney General, the Republicans are contemptible. The rush that they are putting on it is just inexplicable. What are they doing? What are they doing? The American people want jobs. They're going on witch hunts.
The Republican majority intends to bring a contempt resolution to the floor against the Attorney General. To say that this is a terrible use of Congress's power and time is an understatement.
This is not about the facts. This is about politics.
They have not found any evidence that this Attorney General was hiding anything, that he had lied to anybody. They still do not have any facts to support this illegitimate investigation.
To our Republican colleagues, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Wow. Joining us now with reaction, American Conservative Union Chairman Matt Schlapp, Judicial Watch President Tom Fenton, and Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce is joining us in studio here in New York. I want to thank all three of you to be here. You know, the Fast and Furious thing's a little close to my heart. I was there in Congress when it first started, Matt. And I got to tell you, there were knowingly and willingly, the government gave 2,000 weapons to the drug cartels, and we have a dead Border Patrol agent. And yet these same people, I mean, compare and contrast the reaction to that versus what's going on today.
Yeah, people get killed in these terrible circumstances like Fast and Furious. The AG was compelled to turn over records, which he stonewalled Congress over. For the first time in over 200 years, the House has moved to condemn the Attorney General for not willing to be scrutinized by a staffer on the committee, which you know is an absurd criteria we haven't done for 2 centuries without some kind of negotiations. He's willing to testify. By the way, on the Mueller report, he doesn't have to turn it over to Congress. It's at his discretion. He chose to turn it over to make it public. He chose to make an almost unredacted copy available to the leadership of the Dems and the Republicans in Congress. And the Democrats don't even want to read it because you know why? They know there's no collusion or obstruction in this report. It's just politics, and they want to continue to play politics.
No, and this is the thing. And Tammy, it's there in black and white. It's right there in front of them, all of the report except what's required by law. I liken it to the Supreme Court. You know, when they come out with a ruling, they don't hold a press conference and answer questions from others. It's just there for them to review. How in the world do the Democrats have any credibility on this
Well,
issue?
they don't. They're effectively attacking the Attorney General for following the law.
Right.
Now, I think that's perfect for the Democrats because they hate that. They hate that law. But this is really, when you've really ginned up your base on something as ridiculous and hyper absurd, like saying that the President of the United States is a Russian stooge or a Russian spy, how can you top that? And you've got to top it. And the only thing you can say, I guess now the line is that there's a constitutional crisis. But the American people, you know, they're smart. This is also an indication of the contempt with which the Democrats, and certainly Nadler in particular, hold the American people in. That you wouldn't be saying this if you had any respect for how the American people are viewing this and what's at stake and how you would be viewed. You think everybody is just a dumb rube and they're not going to be figuring this out. They can, I think, actually, you would know, like, walk across a couple hallways to see this. They don't need to jump through hoops to see it. And the American people want them to do a job. I don't think they had this in mind when they voted him into power in the midterms.
No, I think the Attorney General is doing an absolute fantastic job. No nonsense. Been there, done that. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. Tom, Judicial Watch is just, I mean, they have led the charge to trying to expose what our government's doing. And compare and contrast for us your experience with the Obama administration, because it's not as if they were open, transparent, and complying with the law along the way, were they?
No, and the Justice Department, especially in the Obama administration, led by Eric Holder for a good period of time, was a black hole in terms of transparency. Unfortunately, as you know, Jason, it continued under Jeff Sessions and the Justice Department still. So, you know, I recognize you have these fights between the legislative branch and the executive branch about documents, but this is a trifle of a fight. This material was essentially being made available within the last few weeks, and they immediately rush a contempt resolution against the Attorney General. To me, it's an abuse of power, and it fits in perfectly with what happened during 2016 when the Democrats abused power through the FBI and DOJ to target President Trump. It continued through the Mueller operation and that smear of a report. And now the cudgel has been picked up by the Democrats, who don't want to talk about the criminal conspiracy their party was involved in 2016 and 17 to target President Trump with illegal spying. They'd rather talk about this pretend fight and with the Attorney General with Attorney General Barr, who they are smearing. And, you know, this awesome power they have to hold someone in contempt, you know, it's pretty darn serious when they start invoking it lightly, because they're effectively saying Attorney General of the United States needs to be put in jail over a few lines of text that we're fighting about. It shows you where the Democratic mentality is here, that they just want to jail their political opponents. The rule of law, it doesn't matter.
And Matt, to Tom's point there, are they just trying to distract from the fact that we have a pending Inspector General report and that the Attorney General is looking into spying and other types of things that the Democrats may have been doing previously?
Yeah, if you actually think about it, you know, because the Democrats played stall ball and had this 22-month, $35 million investigation on this ridiculous and ill-founded charge of collusion, now we're back into the election season. Think about it, Jason. They waited so long that now it's about their wrongdoing, and that's what we're going to be talking about when this IG report comes out. You know what it all points back to? You know what I want to know? What did Joe Biden know? That's what Republicans need to start asking. No,
it's a good question. We only have 30 seconds left, but Tammy and Tom, where do you think contempt goes next? Real quick.
I think obviously they've got the votes to be able to do it. We'll see if any Democrats have any courage to admit that this is ridiculous. And there are some in some vulnerable districts, so maybe not every Democrat will vote for it.
It's a distraction. It's going to go nowhere, I think, politically nor legally.
Thank you all for joining us. We really do appreciate it.